What can you potentially expect from the OTAs today? We've looked at these previously. We've got a whole bunch of predictions that we've done, nailed some, missed some, we're close on some. We'll look at some of the most and least used cards in the game to sort of help predict what we think could happen. As always, I've got a spreadsheet where I'd like to track stuff. This is where I've had some things that I thought should be in OTAs. Color coding wise, greens are pretty much done. Grays, I've like, you know what? No, I changed my mind. Really the ones that I focused on for this video is the purple ones. Those are the ones that are still sort of outstanding. So when I look at this, still looking for some maybe love for Baron Mordo, maybe a buff for a little bit more power. We'll see. Angel, I just, this is just a bad card. I don't know. Maybe if it also jumps out of hand, I don't know. 2-3 might be a little bit strong, honestly. Morph, I mean, it hurts to get a variant for Morph, right? You never see it. It's similar to like Phoenix. It's okay, so I'd like to see 2-0, but that might be a little too strong, honestly, because like Morph really can be very, very strong. So I'm close to potentially making that one gray as well. Back in the day, I had some Guardians. This was sort of as the movie was coming out. You know, Mantis was one I thought could get a little bit of a buff. Star-Lord, I just thought it'd be nice to get some additional points, maybe for 2 turns. And then Groot, I just tried to totally rework the card as maybe something where you could prevent people from playing it. I'm not certain that the Guardians are still getting much play, but you know, it's something to think about. You know, still maybe get something with Jean Grey going there. Spectrum, now look, this will happen in November. I'm fully confident whatever buff she's getting is going to happen in November. If they do it beforehand, cool story, but that's when I expect it. Polaris and Punisher, you know, I'm getting to the point where maybe for even Polaris, maybe a nerf wouldn't be justified, but I still feel like she's a 3-5. She helps Miles become a 1-5. I don't know. And manipulation, I could still see that potentially get nerfed. Punisher, maybe that happens during the Daredevil show. That's a long way away though. Jeez. Sarah, you know, I was talking about potentially nerf there, but I think I might back off of that one pretty soon. Cyclops, I talked about potential nerf and maybe only hitting 1 target. I mean, he's still a really strong card, but given some of the changes they've done with high Evo, I might eventually back off that one. I've still got it highlighted for now. I'm not ready to back off of it completely. Adam Warlock, I thought maybe for a buff, just like a 2-1. He just seems like he doesn't get much use. We'll look, when we look at the least played cards, we'll see where he lands at. When Bounce was the thing, I was talking about changing Bass to 2-2. You know, Bounce seems to be in an okay spot. We'll see. This one, God, how was I wrong? How was I wrong here? Hela. I thought Hela would need a nerf after Echo. No, I'm good. I think it's still probably fine. I'll probably grade that one out soon. Stegron, he needs a buff. He just does. I think that he could be a little bit better. I don't know. It feels like the random RNG of location and the card. It's a little bit too much. It'd be cool if it was like hit to the location that like it's a reverse Captain Marvel that has the least amount of points for the other team, or maybe the most. I don't know, or fills up a lane. Anyway, I'm making stuff up at this point. Beast at some point, again, I was thinking during the Bounce thing, maybe bring him down a little bit. Again, I think I'll probably back off that. I think Bounce is in a good, healthy location. Some other cards I've sort of mentioned in the past: Forge, Ronin, Captain America, Okoye. Just some random different thoughts. We'll see if they ever get some love. But anyway, so now let's look at what cards get played a lot and which cards don't. To start this, we like to go to snap.fan. They've got a really good stat section for just looking at cards. Again, this is a third-party source. I'm sure Second Dinner has something a little bit better. You can do time frames, this season, this patch, etc. I just like to do the last month. I think that keeps it simpler. I know that the OTAs are more often than that, but I think you do need 30-day windows to really look at things. The most seen cards are Shang-Chi, Killmonger, Magic, Carnage, America Chavez, Zabu, Venom. Jeff, wow, all right, I dig it. Jeff is still Wolverine, Iron Lad, Cosmo, Iron Man, Mystique. And, you know, as I look at these cards, well, and one thing I want to mention, let me bring this up. Not that he needs a shout out because he's a stud, but I like to give credit where credit is due. Cozy's put together a couple pretty cool graphics here for most popular cards in game. Now, one of the things I noticed here is Shang lines up, Killmonger lines up, but as soon as you get to number 3, Snap.fan has Magic and Cozy says America Chavez. So that's a little difference. They both have Carnage at 4. Cozy's got Zabu at 5. Snap.fan has America Chavez. And then Venom, and then you know, so they get a little bit intertwined there. Cozy also has Iron Man a little bit higher, Mystique a little bit higher. He doesn't have Wolverine. He doesn't have so look, I don't know where Cozy gets his info from. It might be inside because bigger content creators tend to get some nice, good information. So that could be from there or somewhere else. I don't know. I actually am not sure, but either way, I think it's a cool graphic and I want to show you that like it compares to snap.fan. So these two different situations are showing pretty much identical cards. Now, when we look at all of these, as far as potential nerfs, Shang-Chi, no. I would not touch Shang-Chi. I think it's in a great tech card. It's in a great spot. Killmonger is really strong. The only thing I would maybe consider changing from Killmonger is maybe 2 power. It works nice with Surfer. I don't think I'd change the cost. 4 cost seems like it would just be like, ooh. If you make it 4 cost, I'd say you have to make it at least 4 power. But I think that card is pretty much in a good spot. America Chavez, good spot. Wouldn't touch it. Carnage, I think good spot. Don't touch it. Zabu, same thing. Venom, I think, again, same thing. Magic, honestly, same thing. Jeff, good. Iron Man, good. Mystique, good. I think all of these most popular cards in the game, I think they're all in very, very healthy spots, with the exception that maybe Killmonger could use a little tweak. That's only because he is a pretty strong, powerful card. Now let's flip the script and see which cards are the least seen in game. According to Snap.fam, we've got Snowguard, Lady Deathstrike. Eek. No, I mean, she's a new card, so that's to be expected. Angel, Quake, Quicksilver, Crossbones, Yellow Jacket, Strong Guy, Watu, the Watcher, Baron Mordo, who we mentioned earlier, Drax, Rhino, Mantis. We mentioned her a little bit. Rescue, Kingpin, Punisher, also mentioned. Cozy's list, Snowguard lines up. Angel, for all intents and purposes, lines up. Quake lines up. Quicksilver lines up. Then it gets to be a little different. Cozy's got Crossbones a little bit lower. Snap.fan has it a little bit higher. Yellow Jackets then in there, Strong Guys, those get intermixed a little bit. Watu on Snap.fan's a little bit lower than what Cozy's got, but Baron Mordo's there, so they both got it around the same area there. Mantis is a little bit lower on Snap.fan. Crossbones is a little bit higher on Snap.fan. So we're looking at these. Look, Snowguard has been out long enough. That card needs a straight up rework. I think it's an interesting thought. You know, locations are fun. I think it'd be a way more used card if it only affected you and not your both people, because you don't want to allow your opponent to play into a location if you play down Snowguard, etc. Lady Deathstrike, too early. Angel, we mentioned that in some of the stuff earlier. I think that maybe at least start with can jump out if it's in your hand. Also, maybe if it's like a 2-3, I don't know. Or maybe a 1-3. Quake, you know, gosh, I am torn on Quake. I don't know if I'd want to change Quake. I know that she's really not seen very often, but I think that generally speaking, she can be pretty strong. Maybe regardless of where she plays, she can do something and you pull down some of her power or maybe increase her cost a little bit. I could see that being a lot of fun. And, you know, but the location generation is just totally random. That, honestly, just pure chaos. I mean, because what's an earthquake? It's pure chaos. Make Quake pure chaos. Quicksilver, honestly, I don't think I'd ever change Quicksilver. I think he's fine for an early game starter, early player. It's just fine. You know, are you really going to play? It's in those Angela decks a little bit. I don't know. I think it's whatever. Crossbones, even though it's not played very much, I actually think it's an okay card. I don't know if I'd change it. I think Yellow Jacket, same thing. Strong Guy, I would change a little bit. I joked in another video where that if you just had like one card in hand, that he's strong enough to pick it up and slam it onto the board. That could be interesting, but that's probably too much text for something to put in the game. I had been playing with Strong Guy a little bit. Maybe Strong Guy, when you play him, he also discards a card, a random discard for any card in hand. But that's also like random discards are, they feel bad. So you'd have to really load up your deck with the cards that you just don't care if they get discarded or not. I mean, maybe that's a Hela deck situation, but again, if he accidentally randomly discards Hela, that's not good. Watu, he's fine. Baron Mordo, like I said, I think he just needs some power increase, or you see the card that they get. So you know, give me some information. Drax, oddly enough, I think is in a good spot. Rhino, same thing. Mantis, we mentioned a slight buff to her. I know some people are calling for buffs on Rescue, but now one of the other things that we want to see here, we don't like to just see what's popular. So let's actually look at average cubes when drawn. Look at this. Dakin. Holy cow. Dakin is killing it right now. Great season card. You're not going to nerf that. I think it's great. MODOK, good average cubes as well. I mean, we were talking about the Lady Deathstrike Spotlight Cache. This helps increase the value of that. I think that maybe you want to think about something there that could be really good. Sauron, still doing really good. Apox, I mean, that's probably lined up with MODOK. So look at discard right now. If you're struggling right now, look at discard. You know what? This is the last 30 days. Let's change this real quick, just because I want to stay on this topic. What? Namor, Punisher, Warpath? All right. Okay. What just happened? Did the Matrix take over? I'm leaving this in the video. It doesn't line up with anything I was just talking about, but like, what? I would not expect any of this. Can somebody comment below? Did some creator make a deck that has these things that all of a sudden is making them like super OP? Because I'd love to know. This just is not what I was expecting at all. Going back to normalcy here with cards that you expect to see and you're seeing in the meta a little bit. I mean, the average cube rates, Captain Marvel, Swarm, Apoc, Mysterio, all of these cards seem good to me. All of them. I don't see anything where I think it's too overpowered, which again, shout out to Second Dinner and doing that, because I think that's where we want the game to be at and be really healthy. The flip end of that, average cubes, Lady Deathstrike. I mean, I already said it in my first video with her that I thought she felt a little bit soft, a little bit mid, where she's going to need some loving. I think that's just going to be the case. I don't know if it's a boost in power, if it's a burst of destroying equal cards, etc. I will say that I always forget she also destroys your own cards. I constantly am forgetting that. It's pretty hilarious. Crossbones. Okay. So, you know, he's in that same boat. Rhino, we didn't, you know, he was at the lower end, but their Quake, their Angel, Baramordo. Shauna, they touched Shauna a while ago. I'm not sure how you'd change her. I think the problem with a card like that is just the RNG related to the ones you get. So if you're going to play a card like Shauna, it's something that you play late in game. So I don't know. I mean, I could see something there, but again, like I think that's a really hard card to play. I mean, it works with Destroy, because regardless of what she puts down, you're going to destroy it anyway, right? There's no one cost card that you want to destroy that just screws you. I mean, the problem with some of that, is if it throws down Ebony Maws, if it throws down Squirrel Girls and fills up locations, that's where that gets really risky. So she just fundamentally struggles a bit. Jean Grey, you know, we talked about Jean Grey the other day. Man, I don't know how you change that card right now. The first gut thing that I thought of is maybe an additional power to make it a 3/4. That feels fine to me, but I think it's still probably a little too early for that. I would still give Jean maybe another month or so before I would even think about touching that card. Maybe more. I'm not even convinced you should touch it. The other cards might come in a game to help her out. Mantis, I think she just generally needs a buff. I just give her a power buff. I think it's, you know, that way if you miss on it, it helps a little bit. Master Mold Domino. All right, so that's where that flip end is. We always also like to look at the win played. Hela is constantly way up there. Infinite, MODOK, Null, Silver Surfer. I'm shocked that Surfer's that high. Wow, he's still sort of dominating up there. That surprises me. It's that high. The Null, the MODOKs, the Infinites, the Hellas, those not as much, because you know when you get to that point, you're playing those cards, you're likely already doing really well because you're at turn 5 and you're likely executing what you want to execute. Hela is always going to be top notch on this. When you play Hela, you've basically won at that point. So I fully expect that one. So that's sort of an anomaly. Infinite, somewhat similar if you can be able to play that on turn 6 or turn 7. I think that's pretty good. So I still actually think that, and shout out to Super Tech God, I think he's the one who's primarily preaching this. Maybe GC2, but I think the Infinite does need a little bit of love given where Hulk is at. I don't know lore-wise how they compare to each other, but that doesn't matter. Hulk can get up to be a 620 and not have to skip turn 5. Does it take a lot? Does it take some RNG? Yes. But when you get an Infinite down and a Hulk down on that last turn, and the Hulk either ties or beats it, and I had this happen the other day, where I had a 22-point Hulk beat my Infinite, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I had to skip my last turn to get this. You just played. And I'm like, okay. And not only that, it was on a turn 7, so the Hulk was laid out as a 620, and then because they had an extra point, it got the extra 2 points, which I like. It needs to be there. It skipped a turn. It should get it. But I was like, that feels bad. That feels really bad. So I feel like, okay, it just maybe a little balance there I think makes sense. Ultron, Galactus, that's actually a pretty high win rate or cube rate for Galactus. I'm not surprised by that. And I would fully expect that when Alioth comes out, that's going to go up. I think Galactus is going to come back in full force during that time. Again, the rest of these, I got no issue. Living Tribunal, I've been hating on Living Tribunal a little bit. The hate I've been giving to it is not necessarily the quality of the card. It's more in the fact that I wouldn't spend 6,000 tokens on it. I think it's got a place in the game. I like it. I like seeing this. And again, I think Living Tribunal with Miss Marvel when she comes out in November, I think is going to be top notch. Looking at the bottom end, Helicarrier, I know that's Deck's favorite card. I don't know. Leader. Surprised to see Leader so low. That's kind of shocking. I mean, I know he, got hit a while ago, but man, it's just sort of crazy that he's still so low. Rhino, Baramordo, Snowguard, Angel Mantis, all cards that we've talked about. Negasonic, I don't know. I don't really want to focus on that one too much. Cable, Master Mode, M'Baku, Crossbones. Adam Warlock finally shows up, so maybe there's the love that we want for Adam Warlock, but I don't expect anything there. So final thing we want to look at here, again, we'll pull Cozy's graphic back up, is the win percentage win in deck. It's pretty similar, but we still want to check it out. Agatha, Lady Deathstrike, Crystal, Adam Warlock, Yellowjack. Crystal we haven't mentioned before because she's been worked on, but I don't know if I'd necessarily see anything happening that quickly there. Could, you never know, but I don't know. I mean, it's OTAs, I suppose, but they talk specifically about drawing cards and they want to be very careful with stuff like that. Living Tribunal, I mentioned that earlier. Howard the Ducks is bad. I just don't know. They're not, I don't know. I mean, you could definitely give him some more power. No one cares of killing Howard the Duck with a 1 or not. I mean, maybe make him cost nothing. Maybe he's a 0/1, and the benefit of having him is that he gives you what you see, and then, you know, it doesn't cost anything to play. I don't know. Angel, Ghost Spider, Shauna. So, and then on the flip end of this, these are the most seen, but also the stats are showing here as the win percentages. Sauron's doing really good, but I wouldn't touch him. A-Bomb, same thing. Stature, Black Bolt, both feel good. Those are doing really good right now. Dokken, same thing. Misty Knight. And none of these I don't see as myself as wanting to touch as far as wanting to nerf because they're doing too well when in deck. So I think overall, the second dinner is in a good spot as far as these OTA goes. Of all the cards that we looked at, of the speculation that we had, of any of the things we've said previously, what are the cards that you want to see most change in the OTA? I'm very interested to see what second dinner does with this. Again, I want to highlight the fact that I think they are doing really, really good work so far. When nothing jumps out at me and just says, hey, what are you doing here? Outside of the stuff like Snow Guard, but it's sort of like, okay, whatever. There's not a card that you definitely feel like needs to be nerfed, right? That's when things are problems. You want the meta to be healthy in regard where not everybody's playing the same thing. So again, comment below if you want to join the Discord. The link for that is in the description below if you want to help support the channel. We've got join on YouTube, we've got Patreons, or you can just hammer down the like button. We always appreciate that as well. If you want to share with your aunt, uncle, nieces, nephews, grandma, grandpa, that's always a big thumbs up. And until next time, we hope you have a wonderful day.